What is going on, Colts Nation? And welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Your guys, Cody and Derek, back with another one, guys. Guys, we are so close, so close to the NFL draft. We're almost there, guys. Hold on for a couple more days, and we will officially be there. But hey, guys, we wanted to kind of look and talk about this draft for the Indianapolis Colts and ask the question, will the Indianapolis Colts focus more on the offense or the defensive side of the ball? And I think before we get into this, Derek, obviously you've got to talk about the fact that the Indianapolis Colts did a lot on the defensive side of the ball in free agency with the two big signings, obviously, of Cam Bynum and Charvarius Ward to add to that secondary. So Colts did a lot of investing in that group. And obviously they brought in a couple other guys like Neville Gallimore and, Corey Ballantyne, another corner that they brought in, and a few other guys as well on that defensive side of the ball. Did a little bit on offense with like Khalil Herbert, Daniel Jones, but, they definitely lost a couple offensive pieces and defensive pieces in free agency as well. So when it comes to that, Derek, when we're looking at the draft, I think first round, a lot of people have projected offense, right? A lot of people have talked about one of the tight ends, whether it's Tyler Warren if he falls, if it's Colston Loveland. A lot of people have kind of projected offense. And I've even seen people talk about like an offensive lineman potentially in round one for the Indianapolis Colts as well. So when you're looking at that, Derek, and then when you look at the draft in general, what are your thoughts just on how you think, based off of the positions the Colts still need, that you kind of think maybe the Colts will look to address some of these needs?
Yeah, obviously the first round when it comes to the Indianapolis Colts, everyone is presuming tight end. If you can get one of the best tight ends, go for it. Outside of that, I don't really think that the Indianapolis Colts would go offensive line in the first round, mainly because I just think that when it comes to like one of the best ones, I think some of the best ones will be gone before the Colts get to pick 14. But after that kind of route in the beginning part of this draft, or at least not the first round. So I'm thinking it's either going to be tight end or you're going best edge, you're going potential cornerback, potentially another safety, all of those different routes. So I would argue that if Tyler Warren is not potentially there, I would very likely think that the Indianapolis Colts might be going defense.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I would definitely agree with that because you talk about Tyler Warren or whoever, Colston Loveland, one of those tight ends there. I think you'd mentioned it, like offensive line would be the only other position that I'd probably project decently early to the Colts, right? Like maybe day two. We saw guys last year the Colts drafted, they drafted Bortolini, they drafted Gonsalves there on rounds 3 and 4. So I could see that being kind of the range there for another offensive lineman or two. But outside of that, maybe running back like day 3, I think it's going to be all defense. I really do. I think, with those, what do you want to say, like those 2 picks there in, day 2, I think one of those will definitely be defense of some sort. And then day 3, depending on what you do, say you take an offensive lineman in the second or third round, I think day 3, Derek, it's a lot of defensive focus outside of running back. I do believe that it will be primarily focused. Like with all your picks, I do believe, I think it might actually be decently even, right? Especially if you think at least 3 of those picks will be like designated for offense, if not more than that, at least 3 out of the 7. I do think that defense will be probably a little bit more. Well, yeah, it might not be like the major investments. Like I think offense will have more of the major investments into it like earlier. I think as a whole, you'll have more defensive picks that you see because you talk about defensive line, like both in the interior and on the edge. Like you need help there. You need guys that you're going to get there on that side of the ball. You need another linebacker. You potentially need another safety. And heck, if there's another corner sitting there, you might need to grab another corner. Like there's a ton of needs on this defense. And honestly, Derek, I think of when I look at the defense, if the Colts drafted any player at any position on defense, I would understand it. That's where we're at with the defense, Like
I get
there's
you.
so many questions at pretty much every level of the defense in some capacity, ranging from some really lingering big questions to some more smaller questions, such as depth at safety. But all that to say, there's a ton of needs on this defensive side of the ball. Offense really has, I think, two big needs and one kind of, it is a need, but it's more of a day three need.
Yeah, so I am kind of just off of, I'm going to go the opposite direction on this a little bit. I think that the Indianapolis Colts are, it wouldn't surprise me if they actually invested more offensive picks in this draft than overall defensive. I agree with you that it really ultimately depends on where in the draft you're talking about. Now, I think that the Indianapolis Colts will invest more early picks in their defensive players. But I see a situation where the tight end room, you obviously have to get a tight end. So that's one pick. We've talked about the potential of them double dipping. I doubt that they do, but that could be. You need to get a running back too. I think that they will do that. So that's two picks. You're going to get, I think the Colts are going to double dip on offensive linemen in this draft. I think that it could very well be that they get a tackle and a guard because, like we talked about, and it's not just this year, it's next year as well, that you have to worry about the offensive line and defensive line. So I think offensive line, this is the draft to get a bunch of offensive linemen, especially later. So I think about it in that regard, and I say, if you're getting a tight end, a running back, and double dipping at offensive line, in my opinion, I think that you'll see more offense get taken in this draft than in defense. Again, I know it's not the premier stuff that a lot of people want to talk about, Cody, but I think that just for the sake of bolstering up the offensive line for the future and trying to get a running back and a tight end that this team desperately needs, then I think that would be my focus on it.
I could really see it going either way. I do think it's going to be relatively close. Like, I do think with your 7 picks you have, like, I really do believe that it's going to go 4-3 or 3-4 somehow, like on offense or defense. And it'll be interesting to see. But I definitely understand the argument of double dipping at offensive line. I can definitely see the argument of really going defense. Like, I can see both sides of it here. But regardless, Colts do have a lot of needs, absolutely. And I guess that's just kind of like the what do you view as the immediate needs for this team? Tight end's the obvious one, but outside of that, where do you go? Do you focus on the offensive line? Do you focus on the defensive line? Do you focus on the linebacker position, right? There's a ton of things the Colts could do here with these 7 picks. And who knows, Derek, if the Colts do some sort of trade down, they could have more picks coming up. But we'll have to see, guys, what happens here for the Indianapolis Colts in this draft. But I do understand the argument also, Derek, of you went heavy in free agency on defense with the investment, so now that frees you up to do a little bit more on the offensive side of the ball. But I guess I just look at it as really 2 big needs on offense where you could talk me into 3 potential big needs on the defense. Now, again, they may not be immediate needs, right, for the team in 2025. So I do understand that side of it as well. But I could be talked into either way, to be honest with you. Regardless, whatever the Colts do, they just need to get better as a football team. And there's many opportunities to do that here on both sides of the ball. But guys, curious what you think here when it comes to some of these picks the Colts are going to be making here in the draft. Do you think it's going to be more offense or defensive centric here for the Indianapolis Colts? Would love to hear your guys' opinions in the comments down below. Guys, we're going to be streaming all 3 days of the draft once again, so hope you guys will tune in for that. And we've talked about it before, but there are some ways that you can get involved with what we are going to be doing here in the draft and potentially win a prize as well. So be sure to go check out all that information, guys, when it comes to that. We're so excited to see what does happen here for the Indianapolis Colts. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. And as always, guys, go Colts.